Perfecto. Good to go.
All right. All right, we are going live. We're going to be on the air in 1 minute. And our in-studio guest will be Christina Irwin. She is making her way here up to the studio. Hello, everybody on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. And remember, tonight, a very special night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., we're going to be live. And then at 10 p.m., we added our news segment, Beyond the Soundbite, and that will be on from 10 to 11. So tonight is the maiden voyage of Beyond the Soundbite from 10 to 11. So let me go ahead and put on the headphones and get ready to listen to the music. Well, welcome everyone, and let's make sure all of our mics are live, and there is the music. And so, welcome to the Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club, and with David Hernandez and Jeffy Gergenti.
Yes, we are back on another Saturday night.
And you can hear me clearly on your mic, your headphones?
Yes.
Excellent. And look at who we have in studio, Christina Irwin. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, David and Jeffy, how are you guys?
We are good, and we're glad to have you in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you know, it was kind of nice because let's see, I guess Monday is Labor Day, so it kind of signals two things. I can no longer wear my white coat. Is that like a fashion rule that?
That's only in New York, not in California.
I mean, I can wear my white coat past Monday.
Well, you can here.
How about my white shoes?
In the East Coast, not so much. You got to go to beige, or you have to go to off-white.
Off-white?
Yes.
Is that like Navajo white? Can you even say Navajo white anymore?
You're asking the wrong person. If it's Navajo white, it's Navajo white.
Well, but isn't Navajo white?
Can you not say Swiss coffee then? So if you want to paint the Swiss coffee, that's not good either?
Yeah, but the Swiss are white people. They're the cause of all of the problems. I mean, it's, you know, I think there's an appropriate place for, I want to say not gender identification.
Oh boy, here
you
we
have to
go.
be careful with that anyways. So.
Here we go.
I'm offended. Whatever we're talking about.
That's
Just
right.
kidding.
That's right, you're
Right.
offended.
And you're from the Eastern Bloc.
Yes, I am.
Well, and we'll get to that just a minute. And you know, Jeffy, it's
You darn white lady.
there is so much going on this week, and
There's no doubt there's a lot going on.
you know, locally.
I mean, let's talk about what President. Let's get the elephant out of the room. President Biden's speech was disgusting, and at this point, it's hard to even call him president.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, you have
And
to,
I believe. Wait, but let me just say this, and I say this in all seriousness. I believe that regardless of who's in the White House, you address them as president, or sir, or Mr. President.
Mm-hmm.
I believe strongly in that, and I don't care if you believe in him as president or not. I don't care if you believed he won it illegally. I really don't. He's sitting in the White House. That's his title. But after that speech,
Mm.
I'm sorry, he lost that right, in my respect, to be called president, because this isn't a Trump issue. This isn't a MAGA issue. This is that this man stood on a podium with a blood red background with men in arms behind him, and then leached out and said that we were all lower than dirt and beyond because we believe in the American flag. We believe in God Bless America.
Or making America great again?
We
Yeah.
believe it. And why is it make America great again such a dirty word? He's turned it into a dirty phrase.
Well, because it was the Orange Man.
But the thing is, there's a lot of people that like that phrase that don't know. Listen, I know people that do not like Trump that said they would not vote for Trump, and I said, well, you're either going to get Gavin Newsom or you're going to get Biden. Who are you voting for? And they're going to vote for Trump. And I said, okay, but if you take him out of the equation and you look where the country was and what it looked like versus what it is and what it looks like today, who's the person that's the racist and divisive and is creating the division? You can sit there and I had a conversation with a client of mine, very, very liberal. I'm always grateful to have conversations with him. Because we can agree to disagree. We have old time politics where I can be conservative, he can be liberal, and we can meet in the middle. And he said to me, he goes, well, Trump is the one that started the division in this country. And I go, absolutely no, he isn't. It actually started with the president prior to that. And I said, if this country is so divided, how come we were able to elect a black president not once but twice? We have a black VP.
That was because of white guilt syndrome.
No, please,
That wasn't
here we go.
because of acceptance or
It had nothing to
equality.
do with that. It had everything to do with the fact that a lot of people voted because he was black, but a lot of people voted because
Well,
they
but
believed
doesn't
in
that
what he
make them
said.
racist?
Well, there you go, and that's where it started,
I mean,
in my opinion.
And I'm not talking about black people who voted for him because he's black. I'm talking about white people who voted for him because he's black.
Yeah,
Because they went, oh, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, that just shows that. that
David,
even-
what you're saying is exactly what was being said in my salon. At that
Mhm.
time, I had 14 people on my staff in my salon, and that was a huge topic of conversation. And I sat, and at that time, I didn't think of myself as a Republican. I was a registered independent, and I sat there and I said, but he's a socialist. He might be a nice guy, but he's a socialist, and he has socialist values and he has socialist beliefs. And he came into that office and did exactly everything he said he was going to do, and it was a socialist agenda. And socialism is in itself, in my opinion, racist and divisive. So if you're going to divide a country, make it socialist, because now you're going back to something that America was founded on. We didn't have stations in life. You weren't the queen, and you weren't the peasant. You weren't the lord, and you weren't the working class.
You were
a
either
human
serf-
being.
What now? You are. What is it? You're brilliant. Isn't that what Oprah said about Obama? He's just brilliant. So
I don't know.
Jeffy, you're brilliant because we're just segueing into a country that was oppressive.
Yeah.
That was basically communist. Is that when it was Serbia or Yugoslavia?
Well, Yugoslavia back in the day started out as socialist and then became communist.
Communist.
Yay!
Yes, because through socialism
Yeah.
becomes communist. I'm reading Gorka's book. Remember when we went to his book signing? Okay, I'm reading that book right now, and so now it just so happened I was reading the book when this horrible speech came out, and I was like, oh, I'm fired up about it.
Yeah.
Well, now, Christina. So your family immigrated here from, what was it, Serbia or Yugoslavia?
At that time it was Yugoslavia,
Okay.
and now it's Serbia.
So they saw the writing on the wall,
Oh, yes, yes.
and now your father was a doctor.
My father was a doctor in Serbia, my mother was a pharmacist, and they basically were getting the same pay, the same salary as a janitor, as whatever it is. It was,
So that's
equal pay, it was fair.
Well, here they call that income equality.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they went to school for all that,
Okay.
medical school, and then ended up getting the same as, whatever, pick your profession, which is not fair.
Mhm.
So they immigrated here.
Life's not fair, Christina. Communism says so.
So they immigrated here when I was 3 years old, and they worked odd jobs. My dad was happily a valet attendant over at St. John's Hospital, which ironically is where I had all 3 of my children. St. John's.
Did he valet
Hospital.
the car for you?
No, my
Just
husband
kidding.
did that. So ironically, that's where I had my kids in Santa
Mhm.
Monica. But he did the valet job, for a while, and he was valeting cars to all these big wigs and doctors, and then my mom worked retail over on, gosh, I want to say like Melrose area, Robertson. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. And she worked nights, and she worked days, and he worked nights, and they went to Kaplan and studied, and I don't remember. I was basically raised half by them, half by my grandma, who luckily came over here. So
Now,
It was a whirlwind.
did he have to reapply for a license here?
yes, well, they had to first learn English, at least some of
Okay.
the basics.
Picky.
Very picky, and then they had to, study for their license.
Well, but here's something else. What people don't realize is learn English. If you're wanting to learn Spanish or any of the Latin languages, it's the same alphabet.
Mhm.
But for your parents to go from the Serbian language to the English language is a whole other alphabet.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just a learn that A-E-I-O-U. It's also
Good.
You
Say that
gotta-
again, but it's easy for you to say.
well, if I'm not careful, it's going to be in French.
Okay.
But they had to learn an alphabet
Yeah.
along with the language, and I don't think people realize that when you come from some of those Baltic countries
Mhm.
or even the Middle East, when we don't give people credit. So listen, people come here from all over the world,
Mhm.
and we're grateful to have them, and we welcome them with open arms when they come in legally. We don't welcome them in open arms when it's just a jump over the fence
Mhm.
and say, hi, I'm here, and they get bused to New York City and they're been given, oh
The
my
Big
gosh,
Apple. We're going
we
to the Big
have
Apple.
everything for you.
Yeah.
Here's a DVD card, and here's a this, that, and the other thing,
You
and a
can't say
cell phone.
EBT.
Whatever.
It's
That
Snap.
says, that's what it said.
Snap.
It said EBT on 7-Eleven when I stopped in there today,
Oh,
so that's
okay.
what it is.
All right. Okay. And so, did your parents, were they able to practice their profession once they?
Yeah, once they actually did the TOEFL, which is the English language
Mhm.
exam, and then they studied to become a pharmacist and a doctor, then they had to get the jobs. So my dad worked at USC King Drew Medical Center for
Mhm.
a while, and my mom started off with Thrifty, if anybody remembers.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Thrifty.
There's the ice cream.
Yep, yep, yep.
They had the pharmacy, and they
Yeah.
also had
Ice cream.
Thrifty ice cream.
The
Yep.
best.
Yeah.
The
Now,
best.
I know, right? And it was
Mhm.
cheap. 99 cents a scoop. Did your dad have to go back to medical school here, or did his did his university medical records transfer?
I believe they transferred over, but he had to take the exam again.
Right, so he had to re-exam,
Yeah,
Which is still, I mean, huge.
I mean, let me tell you, if I went to a different country, France or whatever it is, Russia, I mean, wow. To not only have to learn the language, but to do my real estate exam in that language, that would be very difficult.
Yeah, it would be.
Very difficult.
I mean, and I don't think we give people credit. And so when we sit here and we say, oh, just let them in for free, well, but you have people that came here and they had to work to get here. You didn't just pop in the
And
country.
they had to wait years.
You had to wait years to get here.
They waited years.
And it's funny because a very good close friend of mine who's Romanian, I just heard her story. I've known her for 8 years. I just heard her story of Romania. She never really talked about it, and you've never told me. She goes, well, I never really wanted to talk about it, and she was actually made a non-citizen in her own country.
wow.
So when they were in Romania, when it was still under Russia,
Mhm.
her husband, her son, and herself, they did not agree with the politics. And so somebody ratted them out and their passports were pulled and they were
Mhm.
issued new passports that said, I don't know exactly what they said, but it was a non-country passport, which meant
Mhm.
they were people of no country.
They had been excommunicated.
Yeah, and they lived in the country, but they were ostracized by their families. They were ostracized by their friends. I never knew that, and I've known her for so long, and she's had so many other tragedies that have gone on. And we just literally talked about it the other night, and I said, this is why people that immigrate like your parents are so angry. That I think they're more angry than those of us that have had the privilege to be born here.
Oh, absolutely. And not just angry, I want to add resilient.
Mhm.
Like my parents, I mean, yes, being from the medical field, they also didn't take the vaccine. And I'll tell you why. It's because, yes, it wasn't, researched enough and there wasn't any clinical trials on that, but also for the fact that the government is telling you, you must take it or else.
Mhm.
Right.
And coming from that Eastern European mindset, it's like, no,
Mhm.
no, we're not going to do that. Just because of the fact that the government's mandating it,
Right.
or I lose my job, or I can't take my kid to school. No.
Well, they probably, when they saw that the government had closed down the churches and
Absolutely.
houses of worship, it's like, wait a minute, this This is what we escaped from.
Right.
Well, you know,
exactly.
and it's interesting too, because I don't think that, and I could be wrong, but from my experience for the people that I know that are born here, the churches should be closed, they're gonna spread.
Mhm.
But the people that I know that weren't born here were furious about it.
Yeah.
Not that they didn't agree with it could be spread. What they didn't agree with is that they were closing down religion. These people came to this country, our country, the great America, in order to not have to be told by the government what they can and cannot
Well,
do.
speaking of that, Jeffy, funny you should mention, because my parents didn't have the privilege of getting married in church like my husband and I did at a Serbian Eastern Orthodox church. They got married at City Hall because you weren't allowed to get married in church.
Wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
religion.
Mhm.
No, yeah, no
Scary.
religion. Yeah, yeah, and I don't think people realize that.
Yeah.
And I think,
Well, but Jeffy, when you were running for assembly and 277 was up,
SB 277.
yeah, and they were talking about these mandated vaccines and with the ease that they were able to eliminate the religious exemption.
Well, okay, so SB 277 and 276. And yes, they were able to remove all exemptions for children. No more religious exemptions, no more medical exemptions, and that's what made SB 866 such an important. Out of all these bad bills, that one was the one that was the pill that no parent was swallowing, and it was for that reason. And when I had to explain to a senator why they couldn't vote yes on SB 866 when they had already passed it to get it into the assembly, I said, you need to understand why you can't pass it. Oh, no, they've got medical exemptions and they've got religious exemptions. And I said, no, you clarified that wasn't going to happen when you voted yes on SB 277 and SB 276.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they were like, I know it's right, trust
Yeah.
me. And all of a sudden I could see the light go on, the bell go off. And that individual did not support that bill and actually did let that senator that wrote it know, I'm not going to support it this time around.
Speaking of SB 277, that was introduced by Senator Pan, and
Say that with more venom.
Senator Pan, and
the Dr. Mengele of Sacramento.
absolutely, and my opponent, who I'm running against for California State Senate in District 24,
Yeah.
Alan, he voted yes. So they basically went away. They did away with the medical exemptions and the religious exemptions.
Right.
He did that on the bill 1 year after he was elected. Basically throwing salt on the parents and, basically saying, I don't care. I'd rather get, paid by Big Pharma or whatnot. So according to his constituents, he did the wrong thing. And that was 1 year after getting elected.
Right. Well,
Yeah, but he's been since reelected.
He has been reelected, but you know what? Now he's trying to pass. Well, thankfully that was gone.
He was
SB 866.
reelected, but no one. Did anybody run against him?
No, he's been running unopposed for 8 years until I came along.
Okay.
You're talking about I thought you were talking about Pan.
No.
No.
Ben Allen.
Ben Allen, yeah.
Well, and I think that it's these little increments where freedoms are lost that to lose that religious exemption so easily, without even a fight from their religious community, regardless whether they're the Jewish community or Catholic or
Well, it's
evangelical.
because the people think the government has their best interest at heart, and people forget. They forget that the government, the people that are elected, work for the people. It's not that.
Oh, you're so constitutionally old-fashioned. I mean,
I
come
told me
on.
that in the car.
Next,
don't worry.
next thing you'll tell me that you believe in the Federalist Papers and all those.
And you're going to
different
tell us
things.
you believe in God. I mean, God forbid.
Well, and then when
In God we trust.
when they say the abundance of caution, we need to close the churches. With very few exceptions, Jack Hibbs at Calvary Chapel, our friend Rob McCoy up at Godspeak, MacArthur over at Grace Community. I mean, there was a sprinkling of others, but like across the board, it was they shut it down, and people were and they were shut down for what? For over a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was over a year.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they kind of opened, kind of closed, kind of open, because my business got caught up in that too. But like the churches, I never closed.
Yeah. Except that if we look back over this past 2 years, we're starting to hear more and more about the psychological damage that the young people have suffered because they were kept out of school, they lost the socialization, the suicide rate is skyrocketing amongst young people.
And where are you getting that information, David? Because no one can find it. They are not putting that out
Oh,
there.
no, it's out there. I mean, if you look.
That's my point, is that
Yeah,
you have to
if you
dig
look.
for it.
And so all of that is taking place, but I don't think it was just the children that were impacted, because what I
Right.
see is just an overall, across the board, people are really kinda like in this gray area. You know, it's like, why vote? It doesn't matter anywhere. You know, whether you believe in they're stuffing ballots or whatever, it's like it doesn't matter. People on the road the incidences of road rage, even.
We almost got hit twice, literally driving here.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two, and both of them, oddly enough, were in 5.0 Mustangs.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
just like not looking, splitting lanes, and they're like, and I'm a fast driver, but I looked at Dave and I go, oh my gosh, we almost just got hit.
Well, and I think people have taken one of two routes. They've basically given up. I mean, there are some people that are still shut in.
Mhm.
They're afraid to come out. Or you see people wearing a mask driving by themselves in the car.
Double masks.
Yeah. And, or with a visor and gloves, and they look like they're a scene out of the movie Contagion or something.
I saw
but
that
they're-
at Target a few days ago.
But, or they've taken the other route, and I think, and that's the important thing, what I really wanna get to, is they've taken the other route because they've accepted their responsibilities as parents. Not just their rights as parents, but their responsibilities to step up, because obviously the government is not caring for your kids.
No.
And so they're stepping up, and many of them, like yourself, have stepped into the political arena. Had you, prior to this happening, I mean, what was your occupation before that? What is it that you did before you stepped into the arena?
Well, you know what, David? I don't think it's just parents. I think the numbers are great in parents. The moms and dads, they play a major significant role. But I also think it's the small business owners with AB 5. I
Mhm.
think the politicians in play have pissed a lot of people off. And I think also it's just.
Oh, wait a minute, I checked, Ben Allen did vote for that.
Oh, well, there's my point. Yeah, no, so what I'm trying to say is, as an immigrant coming from Eastern Europe, and I have a lot of friends that are from the Middle East also, and a lot that are from Russia, we see this as basically a challenge. When the
Mhm.
government tells you what to do and you just know in your heart of heart, that's not okay. I mean, I stand for freedom. My
Mhm.
parents didn't immigrate to this country and try to start all over again with literally, the old saying goes, 2 suitcases and a dream, just to be told what to do by the government, or else get
Mhm.
fired, or else your kids can't go to school, or else the church is closed. Enough is
Mhm.
enough. And that's why I stepped into the political arena. Before that, I mean, I still dabble, I still do my real estate, luckily. I mean, it gives me free time with the kids, but, I'm tired of complaining. So I decided to do something about it.
Well, and Jeffy, her business impacted by AB 5. We just had the Supreme Court refusing to hear.
The Supreme Court of California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Refusing to hear the truckers' appeal, and all of a sudden, we see the ramifications and what's
Well,
coming.
But what's interesting is because when Biden ran, everyone has forgotten that he said he was going to make AB 5 a national law. Well, you can see he hasn't jumped in that arena, thank goodness, because if he had, we'd really be in trouble. But I mean, I think that the fact that Biden said he was going to make all the country an AB 5 law, and he hasn't done it, I think that the underlying idea there is that they realized it didn't work.
Mhm.
It didn't work, it's not gonna work, and it's gonna be a problem. And hopefully, eventually, sooner rather than later, with people like Christina that are gonna be in the Senate, we will be able to go and take AB 5, either unwind it, or we're gonna have enough people that are gonna be able to have the resilience to get it to the actual Supreme Court of the country.
Mhm.
But the fact California Supreme Court wouldn't hear it was just an abomination. But that has to do with liberal judges.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna
Right.
jump in that arena for a second too, is that they don't do anything to let us know who the judges are. You have to dig and dig and dig to find out who these judges are. And really, I would like to see some legislation pop in there and do something about how judges need to be more available for who they are. I mean,
Yep.
the candidate statements are so expensive, and I'm tired of hearing, well, it costs so much to mail them. Well, it costs a lot to be a candidate.
Yeah.
Come on.
This is true.
Well, now, Christina, I know that, and especially, with your parents' background and knowledge, that standing up for choice,
Mhm.
for the medical freedom, you know, not, you know, if a parent chooses that they want their children vaccinated, you're not gonna prevent them from doing that.
Oh, absolutely not. Everybody, this is my whole platform. It's about freedom. It's about you have a choice. You know what's best for you. You and your doctors. You know what's best for your children. Not the government mandating it, or else you get fired.
Mhm.
That's unacceptable to me.
Well, what do you think about this bill, and I'm not sure if it passed or not, I think it might have, where the doctor is prohibited, if the doctor,
Oh, 2098?
is
I
it
think-
2098?
20.
Yeah, I think it passed, didn't it?
It did pass, yeah, but
But
it's
it
on,
has to be signed off by
it's
Newsom.
on Newsom's desk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was urging everybody, you know, beforehand, all my friends and on social media and sending out press releases, vote no, call the governor's desk and
Well,
tell them
call
to
and
post it.
email. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you email, because they cannot legally get rid of those emails. Voicemails can get lost, but if you can send an email opposing it and have other people, and there are people like Save California. I think Save California on Instagram may have, or on their website may have a petition that you click on it. They send the letter for
Yeah.
you and it just posts your signature. You really don't have to do anything. These resources are available and a lot of these organizations are doing the work for us. We just have to sign the petition and move on.
Amen.
Right.
And that's really what I think is gonna make a difference.
Now, Christina, what is your website?
ChristinaIrwin.com, so it's KRISTINA, Irwin, IRWIN, Win with Irwin, ChristinaIrwin.com.
Okay, well, don't go away, cause we'll be back, but, we got about 1 minute, and with the,
We actually have a gentleman on the line who wanted to ask about the churches, so why don't
okay,
we
we've
pop
only
him
got
on?
1 minute.
Let's see if we can pop him on for
Okay,
that 1 minute. real
Carlos, we're gonna bring you up, but we only have 1 minute till the break.
quick. Hang on.
All
There
right,
you go. Hi, Carlos. How are you?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well. Oh, yeah, got it, yeah, yep. All right, Carlos, we're at the break, thank you for the input. Everybody from Carson, hello. We'll be right back.
This is AM 870, The Answer with Jeffy and David on the Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club.
Don't go away, we got a couple of great callers calling in to talk about the president's speech. The mics are off, but Facebook is on, so you can say hello to everybody on Facebook.
Where is it?
Right there.
Oh, hello.
You're on.
I was gonna say the 2098 bill, that's unconstitutional.
Well, I think a lot of these bills are unconstitutional, and I think they're gonna get passed, but I think you're gonna get a lot of people
A lot of
like
lawsuits.
Hamill, who's gonna hop in.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully she'll have the stamina to do it and do something about it. You know, you also have, Shannon Croner, who is
Yes.
working diligently. We just had her in a couple weeks ago on how these things